This is the GTN show, and you probably noticed Mark has left us, but I'm pleased to say Heather is back.
Thanks, Mark.
But coming up on the show this week, we have extreme swimming, a beer mile with a difference, and we have another farewell to a triathlon legend.
As well as that, we're going to be looking at some race results. We've got 2 half Ironmans. We've got Ironman Malaysia and also Challenge Shepparton. But then we're going to be looking forwards as well, as the Island House Tri is coming up this weekend.
So first things first, let's talk about this big race this weekend. What is the Island House Triathlon?
Well, it's an invitational only race in the Bahamas. It sounds pretty idyllic, doesn't it? But the hashtag Pain in Paradise is for a pretty good reason. It's 3 races over 2 days, so that in itself is pretty intense. But then it's the format and the fact you've got athletes from racing from ITU up to Ironman distance all coming together to race over this fairly short but intense racing programme.
Yeah, I believe it's 3 races over 2 days and for a pretty hefty prize purse, $500,000.
Yeah, I mean, quite a few athletes have been focusing on this. It's late in the season now, so they've had to really, have a little mini break and come back. Some athletes have focused on it more than others. But I know Holly Lawrence, for example, after having a bit of a disappointing race at the 70.3 Worlds, she used it as her focus to keep her going for this season. Some athletes like Flora Duffy, who's got to be...
had a long season.
Who's had a really long season, but still got to be one of the favourites. I think she came second last year.
Yeah, and obviously Gwen isn't there this year. She's moved on to marathon running and she won it last year. So it's opened out for Flora for sure.
It has. What about the men's side?
Well, on the men's side, it was Richard Murray that won it last year. Cam Dye actually, really put the pressure on.
I mean, we've not really seen him race that much.
Well, yeah, Cam Dye is an interesting athlete.
Okay.
He sort of keeps himself to himself. He tends to race mostly in America, but he is an uber strong athlete, especially over the non-drafting format. But this year we've got people like Vincent Louis in the mix, Josh Amberger, Sam Appleton. So we've got some 70.3 specialists and some top-notch ITU athletes.
And that's where it gets interesting because some of the races are non-drafting. So it starts with the super sprint time trial.
Yeah, so they're starting off 30 seconds apart from each other, I assume in a non-drafting format.
Yeah.
But it's, as you've said, super short. And then later in the day, we've got the Sprint Enduro, which has 7 stages, 6 transitions. So it's a full-on event.
It is. It's probably going to favour the ITU athletes with that because they are hot on their transitions and it might require some of the Ironman athletes to come back to their roots if they came from ITU.
Can't get away with any 4-minute transitions in that.
No, I don't think that would be up my street. And it's sandwiched by a run at either end as well. So maybe that will favour the runners, who knows?
Yeah, and then on to Sunday, we have the Sprint Pursuit. So they start with basically their time differences from the day before. So if you're behind, you're chasing that first place spot.
And that is actually in the normal order of swim, bike, run. And first person over the line after that 5k run takes home a nice hefty check.
Okay, so let's move on to the athletes racing and maybe some predictions. And unfortunately, I can't remember 30 athletes, so let's get a list out.
Let's have a look.
On the women's side, what are you reckoning?
Well, I think for my top prediction, it's easy. And I think you'd be silly to not put Flora at the top of your list. I mean, she's just a bit unbeatable this season.
I think I have to agree there, yeah.
And she's mixing things up. She's been trying a bit more time trial racing because she's doing a 70.3 soon. So, I think she's going to be the one to beat. And then it's tough. And
Well, there is an addition this year. Ashley Gentle.
Yeah, exactly. And she's the only girl who's actually beaten Flora this season at ITU racing. So I think Ashley's got to be in there in the top 3. And I mean, Emma Pallant is a bit of an unknown when it comes to this type of racing. She's got such a strong bike and run, but whether the fact that there's quite a bit of swimming in there...
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, she's obviously doing really well on the non-drafting side at the moment, but she came from short distance, ITU duathlon, even still racing it. So, yeah this format really suits her. I
mean, Holly Lawrence, that we mentioned earlier, she's been training for this, although it's sort of towards the end of the season. Could be another one in the mix. I mean, it is a top group of athletes, hence why they're there. But what about the men's?
Well, again, we've got some new people racing this year. Josh Amberger, Ashley Gentle's partner, uber swimmer, if not possibly the best swimmer there. And then Sam Appleton. So Sam Appleton's class athlete on, he's a 70.3 specialist. But yeah, I mean, you've also got Vincent Louis, I mentioned before, ITU athlete. Again, he won the final series of the WTS series.
So if you can't put an order of the three, can you choose a number one? I think you've got a harder job on the men's side than I think I have on the women's side. You've got to put your money somewhere.
You know what? I might get shot down for this, but I might go for Aaron Royal.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, he
Plucked him out from where?
Yeah, sorry. But he has shown absolute class lately, and he's in good form. I think he raced the other week. And yeah, I mean, he's on fire.
You're liking the Australians, aren't you?
I am, yeah. I think Mark's influence, he was convincing me Aaron Royal's the guy to watch out for. But yeah, I think Aaron Royal, Richard Murray, Murray Mola are going to be super close, and Vincent Louis.
Right, I think you've now read out the whole list, Mark.
Yeah. It's a tough one.
Okay. Well, you've got Aaron Royal to win.
Well, the temperatures are starting to drop in the northern hemisphere, and one thing's for sure, you won't find me in the open water. But one man has taken it to the next level.
Yeah, Pugh, a British man, braved the Antarctic waters in just his speedos. He didn't just jump in. He got in the waters off South Georgia and swam a whole kilometre, taking him about 19 minutes in waters that were around 2 degrees on average, which, if it wasn't for the saltiness, it would have actually just been ice.
To be honest, they're absolute agony. And the reason why I'm doing these swims is to really highlight how important it is to try and protect this place.
Okay, he's doing well. Go, go, go!
So an incredible challenge, but he wasn't doing it for the fun or the challenge of it. He was doing it as his role as United Nations Patron of the Oceans, which is an awesome title, but if it involves jumping in Antarctic water, I'm not sure I'd be keen to follow in his footsteps.
Nor me. But still in the realm of open water, in the southern hemisphere where the water is a lot warmer, they did still face a challenge.
Yeah, there were other problems down in Western Australia. The Sufferfest Triathlon Festival had to be shortened, well, the swim had to be shortened and then eventually changed to a duathlon as they first spotted one shark and then quite a few were spotted after that. So you can have warm water with sharks in or you can have freezing cold water with seals in. I think I'd rather stay somewhere in the UK.
Definitely.
And moving on, there's been another retirement in the sport after Gwen Jorgensen last week announcing her move to marathon running. This time it's Timo Bracht from Germany at the age of 42 has decided he's going to call it quits on triathlon. He does have 9 Ironman titles to his name, including 2 European Championship wins at Ironman. And he still has the course record from 2011 from Lanzarote.
It's an impressive course record too, and we will be disappointed to see him leave, and he is very impressive to watch race. But I do know he's well liked by all the athletes. He's known for his sportsmanship on and off the field, but we are pleased to say he's not completely deserting us. He did set up the pro triathlon team Sport for Good, so he'll still be around running that team. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about the beer mile record being broken, and I spotted a news article the other day that I thought was like the beer mile, but quickly found out it wasn't really up to my fancy. You don't drink the beer at all, but it was quite interesting.
Well, there is some incentive though, Mark. So it's approximately 500 metre race and it's held at a microbrewery. And the idea is every competitor gets given 2 pints of beer to start with. So if you've got really steady hands and you can run the whole 500 metres balancing your beer, you could actually have 2 pints at the end of it. So the winner is the first person across the line with the minimum amount of beer left, which is apparently just above a half a pint in each glass.
And then you get to drink them.
And then you get to drink it.
Okay, all right, phew. Got that one cleared up.
Go Heather, good work.
Go, Heather!
Well, moving on, a name you may or may not know, but you probably should know because he was the first male Olympic triathlon champion. Simon Whitfield earned gold at the Sydney 2000 Olympic Games. Well, he's just been inducted into the Canadian Sports Hall of Fame. And he did retire in 2014, but he definitely earned that accolade in his career.
I'll bring it back to the current athletes. Slow Twitch have now released the list from the women's race at Kona of the top 15 athletes and their pro bikes. I know you discussed the men's list last week and it's really interesting. I spent a little bit of time, probably too much, looking through and hopefully getting some tips. And it's great if you are looking to upgrade your bike or you just want to see how you compare to what the pros ride.
Now on to the weekly poll, and last week we were so impressed by Sarah Dozena's performance at the New York City Marathon, where she switched from running to triathlon. Sort of posed the question, what is the best sport to start triathlon from? So obviously swimming, cycling and running, but there are other sports out there people have switched over from, so we also gave you other, and the results are in.
They are, and other just got 3%. It was swimming that came second, which I thought would be a little higher up with 22%. Then cycling with 28%, And the favourite in your eyes was running at 45%.
I'm quite surprised by that, actually. I thought swimming would come out on top.
I did too, because you think that's the hardest one to learn from my perspective, but...
Well, and I also don't see modern pentathlon down there.
I know, but I'm ticking 2 of those boxes straight away, Mark. Come on.
Well, I do have to apologise for not adding that in there. Well, anyway, on to this week's poll. Obviously, earlier we were talking about the Island House Triathlon, and I was clearly quite indecisive with my choice of the men's winner. So we thought we'd get your take on it. Clearly, we can't pick out all the men in this poll, but we've picked out Richard Murray, Cameron Dye, Vincent Louis, Mario Mola, and other.
Well, if, like Mark says, yours isn't in that list, then please let us know. If you're ticking on other, just let us know who that is in the comment section below. And to vote in the poll, just click above my head.
Well, over in Ironman Malaysia, Roman Galam certainly brought his legs because he led off the bike with almost 11 minutes over second. He was the only person to go under 4:35. He posted a 4:29 bike split. It's pretty impressive, isn't it? Well, he continued to take the win after the run, and in second it was Jens Pettersson back, and then in third it was Roman Deisenhofer.
Well, on the women's side, it was Dinah Reisler who dominated. She took the lead from 13k on the bike and held that for the rest of the race. In second place it was Marine Hoof, and then third it was Manon Genet.
Well, over at Ironman 70.3 Jamen, it was a close race on the men's side. The top contenders exited the swim together, and then they stayed together throughout the bike. And then it was the Sam Betten and Justin Metzler show on the run. They stayed side by side throughout the whole run until the final 200 metres, where Sam Betten sprinted to victory, Justin Metzler took second, and then in third place it was Jonathan Sheeran.
On the women's side, Hayley Chura had a great start to her day. She had a 90-second advantage coming out of the swim and managed to maintain the lead into T2, although it was very much diminished as she was getting chased by Imogen Simmons and Aina Mullen. And then it came down to the run, where Mullen, on her first race back after injury, took the victory. It was pretty close at the finish, but she'll be delighted with that, I'm sure, after such a long time out. And then Imogen Simmons in second, and Hayley Chura had settled for third.
Well, over at Challenge Shepperton in Australia, it was Dan Wilson that took the win for another year running. He led from start to finish, and in second place it was David Mainwaring, and in third it was Luke Bell.
In the women's race, it was won by Hungary's Anna Eberhardt, who had a 7.5 minute deficit after the swim, so a strong performance to take the win. But looking at the overall results, outside of the pros, the second fastest time was actually recorded by an age grouper.
Wow.
It's pretty impressive.
Well, now it's time for the Caption competition, where you get a chance to win a cap. And last week we had a photo of myself doing a funny pose with a butterfly on it. So we had some good captions coming in.
Well, we've chosen Ian Povey's caption, and he came up with a high elbow on the bike. Mark really is from a swimming background. He's pretty accurate with that.
Yeah, he's got me summed up there.
Yeah. Well, Ian, to get your free cap, just get in touch on Facebook and we'll send it to you.
Well, for this week's Caption competition, we have quite a funny photo, maybe a little insight into a video that's coming up with Mark Buckingham and myself. And maybe it's my sense of humour, but there's probably quite a few things I could say here. So I'm going to leave it to you guys, because I probably can't say them. So yeah, please leave your captions in the comments below.
And now on to GTN Pain Cave, and our first one we've got from Earl Styles, who sent this in on Twitter.
There's a lot going on here, isn't there?
It's compact, I think you could say.
Yeah. I mean, we've got another fridge by the bike. Pro setup.
Fan on top of the fridge, very close to the face. That's going to be useful.
We've got Zwift. We've got a bike hanging from the ceiling, and spotted they've got an Ironman Arizona flag hanging up with what looks like some course maps. Very keen.
Maybe they're planning on going back again next year. Well, our next one is from Leon Pisani, sent in on Facebook. And Leon, I like the way he's mixed up facing one way on the treadmill and then maybe looking at himself when he's on the bike the other way.
Yeah, and the thing that jumped at me was the map on the wall, which kind of, if we zoom in, looks like he's got some bike routes around Europe that potentially he's done. Really like that.
Yeah, cool.
And finally, from Jenny Hempt, sent in over Facebook, and this is smart. She's got all her race numbers framed and some swim caps. And
I think she might even have a skipping rope there. Maybe it's part of the warm-up, resting on top of the treadmill.
So yeah, turbo and treadmill side by side.
Attention to detail there. That's
Very nice. Well, yeah, please keep your Pain Cave photos coming in using the hashtag GTN Pain Cave over Twitter, or send them in over Facebook. Well, last week we spoke about featuring your triathlon clubs in the GTN show, and it's going to happen next week. We asked you for suggestions for the name of that part of the show. Please keep them coming in. We've had some great ones, and we'll be mapping your tri club on our map on the GTN screen.
And well, we both know that lots of fun things happen in tri clubs. We want to see what happens in your club. So please flood our social media and we'll then be able to share it back with you.
Yep, photos, videos, whatever you like. And that's the end of our show. If you like this show, give it a thumbs up, like, and to subscribe to GTN and see more great videos from us, just click on the globe. And to see our triathlon Mythbuster video, just click down here.
And if you want to watch a video on how to deal with being injured, Pro Mark Buckingham has some great tips here.